Hello there and welcome to my channel. This is Brownbus and here I'm going to be showing you how to create a small HUD and a simple fold image system that can be easily customized later on. It's proportional to the height that you're falling from. It's based off velocity, not fall time, so it is a really nice and flexible system and it's easy to make, so I'm here to show it to you. Okay, so here we are, and as you can see we do not have anything, so if I play I don't have an HUD nor any sort of damage display. And so our first step is gonna be very simple. We are gonna create an HP bar. So I'm just gonna create a folder here. I'm gonna call it HUD HUD, and here I'm gonna create a new widget blueprint, user interface widget blueprint. I'm just gonna call it HP bar HUD, and we are gonna go in here. This is not gonna be a very nice bar. I'm gonna create another HUD system in another video, and that's gonna be a lot nicer. So now I'm just gonna anchor it to the left bottom. I'm just gonna zero this out. I want this to be 350 long, and I want this to be, I don't know, 15 or 20. Yep, that looks just about right. My X position is gonna be 50 and my Y is gonna be -50, so that it is on our screen. Okay, so we have an HP bar. It's gonna fill from left to right. That's perfect. I'm gonna make it red because that's the HP bar color. That's a bit too pink. Something nice. Yeah, let's make it Dark Souls color. And I just want to set the tint to a darker gray so that it looks better empty. And I'm just gonna do a percentage to this. It's gonna be 0.75. It goes from 0 to 1, so this is basically 75%. It looks like that. Now it's perfect. If we were to play here, nothing would appear because we did not attach it to our character. So let's go into third person character, and we are just gonna attach it to our player character. And the way to do that is I'm just gonna create a begin play event begin play, and I'm gonna go create widget. And when we create this, you see it's construct none, so we have to select our freshly created HUD, and owning player, that's fine now. And do not forget to add it to the viewport. I just drag it from the return value and just say add to viewport. It's right there. And now we have our HUD at our viewport. So if we play now, it's gonna appear right here at 75%. That's what we set it to. And we are actually gonna bind it to a variable, which we are gonna create right here. I'm just gonna go with floats here, and I'm just gonna call it player health and set its type to float here. It can be an integer too, but I prefer to work with floats. So we have our player health. We compile it so we can set a default value. I'm just gonna set it to 100 because that's nice and even. And if we go back to our widget blueprint right here, the HP bar HUD, we can actually bind this value. So I just click on here and go to here at percent. I'm just gonna say bind, create a binding, and I'm gonna leave this part alone for now and just go to the event graph, event tick, and what I'm gonna do is cast to third person character, and the object is gonna be our player character. So this HUD is gonna be only for our player. So if you want to create a HP bar or something for an enemy, this is not how you do it. I think you can go owning player pawn or some other pawn, but I'm just gonna go for get player character, not OKer but player character. That's perfect, we are not gonna fail this time. So if our cast is successful, I just wanna drag from as third person character, and I just wanna get player HP, player health, sorry, and I'm just gonna promote that to a variable, a local one, and I'm gonna leave it at player health so that we know what we are talking about. So I'm just gonna set it here, and this is a tick, so it's gonna update every frame. I'm just gonna compile it, and now I go back to the get percent. So basically, from when you get from the designer to the graph, the get percent is the screen that's gonna welcome you, and this return is gonna be our percentage. So I'm just gonna drag in the player health we just created, so it's the one that we promoted to a variable. I'm just gonna say get, and what I want is I want to divide it by 100, like so. So I think that's, yep, and connect it to the return value. So theoretically, if we were to press play, we would get 100%, because the base value we said was 100. So basically, if we have any change to our HP, it should show up at the HP bar. So let's get to our actual fall damage. You can comment this out, so, or make it something nice. Just press C and add. It's not just add widget, since it's big in play. Let's call it initial eyes, like that. I hate the bubbles, so I don't want that. Now we are gonna create a custom event, which is gonna be called well, update fall damage. I think that's good if we call it that. Just custom event and update fall damage. I just mistyped it. Yep. Damage. That's not nice, and I'm just gonna delete this space because I hate that. Okay, and in here, what I want to do is I want to know if our character is falling. Yeah, and to check if we are falling, we just drag in the character movement from our hierarchy tree, and in here we can, I think we can access is falling, perfect. Now, and I only want to update the fall damage if we are falling, so I'm just gonna branch out from there, branch, and connect the executable pins. Oops. So if we are falling, what I want to do is get velocity, maybe. Velocity, I first need get player character, and what I want is get velocity. This is gonna be a vector, so right click and split the struct bin, and we only want the Z axis, which is the up down axis, because that's what we are actually interested in, the Z velocity. You can play around with it later to check the X and the Y if you want. For example, if the character, if your player is in the air because it's been pushed by something and hits a wall, you don't necessarily have to use the Z axis. But since it's fall damage, this time we are just gonna focus on the Z axis. Now, this is gonna be a negative value if we are falling. It's positive when we go up, and it's negative when we go down. And since I want to work with it easier, I'm just gonna multiply it by -1. Keep it. You can multiply it by an integer -1. It doesn't really make any difference. But since I'm working with floats, I want to keep it nice. So I'm gonna just multiply it with a float. And now I know for a fact that in the third person mode, if you haven't touched anything else, your Z velocity when jumping is gonna be about 550, 560. So I do not want fall damage if it's under 600. So I'm just gonna check if our value is bigger than, well, that's 650. Seems about right. So if it's bigger than 650, I'm just gonna create another branch here. So if our velocity is bigger than 650, what I want to do is apply the fold image. And I have a very secret formula for that, and that would be fairly simple. So what I want is here, I just want to divide this. Okay, so this fold image is gonna be proportional. I've seen a lot of videos when it's a bunch of if-else. I really don't like that because I don't think that's clean. Of course it's okay if you do it that way. A lot of games do it that way. So if it's bigger than 650 but smaller than 1000, then do like 10 damage or something. But I want it to be proportional exactly to what we do. So what I want here is, first of all, I want the power node, because that's how we make it exponential, our damage, so that you fall from higher, your damage is gonna be exponentially bigger, because that's how I like it. You don't have to like it that way, you can just make it exactly proportional. I like it this way. So what we want is, let's say I want to divide it by, first I want to divide it by 100, and I want to divide it by 2, right here. And what it does is, for example, if it's 1000 here, then 10 and 2, that's basically 5. So that would be our basic fold image if we were to just connect it, set it as a fold image. But what I want to raise this to an exponential case. So yeah, sorry, that's what I want to be the base. I don't want to raise it to the 5th power. Sorry. So, and to the power of, and what I worked out was, if I were to just simply divide this by around 2,000-3,000, and then add it plus, and I just want to add it to 2, because it works nice if you just raise it to a square to the power of 2, but I don't think that's fair enough, because you will get way too high damage even on lower heights. But if you can fine-tune it, then this means that if, for example, your downward velocity is 3000, then you add 1 to this. So basically you will raise the base to the power of 3. But if your velocity is low, you're just gonna raise it to the power of 2 or 2.1, or so. That's what I worked out. I know it's not perfect, you can fine-tune it yourself however you like it. I actually really like this setup, so I'm gonna go with this one. And what we want is, I'm just gonna promote this to a variable, and I'm gonna call that variable fold damage very creatively. And basically that's that. So basically, if our velocity is higher than 650, then I want to set this as a fold damage. And of course, if we are falling. If we are not falling, I don't want anything. If we are falling, I want to set the fold damage. Now what we have done here is created a custom event that sets our fold damage when we are falling. Now to actually call this update fold damage custom event, I'm just gonna use a tick, which again, it updates every frame. So what I want is just call this custom event here, update fold damage. And now every time we fall, it's gonna update our fold damage to the value which we just calculated. And just to see if it works, I'm just gonna use a print string. So basically, let's see. When we set it, I want to print it. So let's see. I'm just gonna compile, save, recalling it, and let's see. So here, this was smaller than 650. So let's just go a bit further up. And yes, our fall damage is gonna be 44 from that height, which I think seems fine, because that's like 4 meters tall, if not 5. I don't know how much is that in feet. 12, 15 feet maybe. Here our fall damage would be 114, so with 100 health we would die from that height. And that's, well, might not be perfectly realistic, but I think it's fine. As I said, you can fine-tune those values yourself. I don't think the math in there is very hard to understand, and if somehow you do not know about how to raise stuff to the power, and you can just play around with the values however you like. Okay, now let's actually apply our full damage, not here, but here. And the way I'm gonna apply it, there is an event called onLanded, and that's perfect for our case because this checks if we landed on the ground. And yes, that's gonna be perfect for us. And what I want is, let's say I want to get the player health. I want to get it, and I actually want to set it too. Now the way it's gonna work is I'm gonna set it, and when we land I want to damn, how can I not remember the word? Subtract, sorry, I don't know what came over me. So I want to subtract the full damage from our health and then set that as our health. So I'm just gonna use this negative float minus float, and I just want to drag in the full damage here. We are gonna subtract the full damage, and basically we have set our health. Now if we don't want our health to go into a negative, which I don't think really matters most of the times, because you can just watch if our health is 0 or negative when we die, but just for clean code sake, we are gonna actually check it with a branch. So branch, and our condition is gonna be if this one is bigger than 0. So if this is bigger than 0, so basically our health after taking damage is above 0, we are just gonna set it as our new player health. However, if it's false, which we are gonna do now, so if it's below 0, we are just gonna set our player health to 0, and it's gonna be that easy. Let's clean this up. Actually, if you highlight everything and press Q, maybe it's gonna put it in a line, which, well, I don't really like because it's not readable at all, but that's how I usually do it if it's less nodes next to each other. But I'm just gonna quickly organize this. I'm sorry for my OCD. And, can I seriously? It's not looking very nice right now, but oh my god. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay, it looks a little bit better now. Not perfect, but it looks nice. So basically we calculate our full damage from our velocity here, and then we use that calculation here. So every frame we check our velocity and calculate our would-be full damage if we are falling. So basically we only calculate it if we are falling, so it's not that heavy on a computer, because even though it checks every frame, if the condition is false, we basically do nothing, so we just have a logic gate in there. So it's gonna be fine. And we compile it now and save it. I'm not gonna delete the print string. That might be useful later on. Let's try it. Okay, still nothing from the lowest height. Oh my god, why did I jump? And from here, I think we should have some full damage. And as you can see, we did have full damage down there. which is really nice. And if we go further up, we should die. And bam, we did die. I did not put any logic for dying in there. I'm gonna do that in a later video when I do a bit more elaborate damage system. But these are the basics of the full damage system I use. I used to have a lot better one with really nice calculations, and then I accidentally wiped my drive when I did a clean install of Windows 10. So I did lose that, so I had to make that up from scratch. But I think that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. Subscribe if you didn't want to see more. If you really didn't like it, feel free to dislike, or actually just leave. Please don't dislike. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.